everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage, where today we have a table full of parts that aren't going on to a motorcycle. Today, we have the Q60S Red Sport halfway in the garage, and we are going to be putting the new AFE dual intake system onto this. We also have the AFE exhaust going on later this week, so stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and of course, smash that like button. Ring the bell notification so you can get notifications on when the exhaust video will go out. But I wanted to do a step-by-step video of the intake and the install. It looks fairly easy. So let's get in the car, let's take a look and see what this thing sounds like stock. And we'll get this thing installed and see if we get any more sound out of the intakes. And of course, then we'll get on the roads later with the exhaust and see what kind of performance we get out of it. So let's get this thing fired up and see what it sounds like. All right, so we have the lovely Bogna inside her car. She absolutely loves this car, by the way. You guys just absolutely loves it. But let's give it a little rip here, babe. See what it sounds like. So definitely not very impressive sounding. But let's get these shrouds ripped off and we'll get everything pulled out. It should be a pretty quick install. So let's get into it. All right, so first thing, you guys, I always like to kind of have everything laid out on my tables. I've got a couple tables here that I work with the motorcycles. We've got all the parts laid out. We've got all of our tools. We have an 8mm for the nuts on the hose clamps. We also have a 10mm, which we're gonna need for the shroud. We have our nifty little panel pullers, so we're gonna be popping our little clips off with these. Phillips head, some pliers, and some needle nose, and then we'll have to get the O2 sensors, and I'm not sure what those are. But let's get first, we've gotta pop the main shroud off here, and that's pretty simple. We're just gonna basically get this in here and pop all of these little plugs off. And just go through, I think there's 10 of them total. All right, so top shroud's off. Now you've exposed your air boxes here. We have two 10mm bolts. You can see one's right here. And then one is hidden right underneath this shroud, which we should be able to get out underneath. And then there's these two over here. So we're gonna pop these off first. And let's see if there's an easy way of getting this one out. So you can kind of just lift that side up, grab our 2 10s or our 4 10s. All right, so now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna actually undo the air box. So they've got these little clips. I believe there's 2 on the top. Let's see, and I think there's 2 on the bottom. So if you reach your hand down there, you're just looking for the clips to pop the clips off. Actually, it doesn't feel like there's any there. Doesn't feel like there's any there. So, all right, so the trick to this is these go up and under, and then there's the peg. So you're gonna lift this up and then push it back down, which will release the pegs. And then there's our stock air filters. So that's the front. So we're gonna be basically taking that one out. So you watch on this side, we'll do clip, clip, and then we're going to lift it up and then separate it from the air box. So we're gonna lift it up out of that prawn. And then once you get it out of that prawn, you're basically just going to push it back down and then back out. So you're going out of this and then back down out of this and then pull it out. All right, so now a couple of the things we've got to look at. So if you can, let's get a light here in a second, and we're going to get down in here because you're going to be releasing the pipe down there and then this tubing here. So let me grab a light and we'll be right back. All right, so now we can see, so we're down here, that's an 8mm or a flathead. So you can kind of see down here, that little flathead is what we're going to be taking out. And then of course we've got our two O2 sensors, or our little mass airflow sensors here. And we're going to have to take this little prawn out from here. All right, so we've got the O2 or the mass air filter sensor plug out, and we were able to salvage this. So we're going to keep this wrapped around there. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to get a nice long extension down to that 8mm and then pull out that 8mm. Let's see a flathead. Let's see how hard it is to get it out with the flat. I think we're going to probably want, not too bad. All right, so right here, you're going to come back in here and switch the light to there. All right, so we should be loose. So what we're going to do is we're just going to basically grab this tubing and just pull it right out. And that's it. Talk about a simple install. Now, Bogdan actually thought about doing this. I've been gone all week, by the way, and Bogdan was thinking about doing this herself. Baby, you could have done this. You definitely could have done it. So our mass air filters, we have to keep these. So we're gonna make sure we keep this on the one side. So this is this side, this is this side. So I kind of laid out the intake on how they're gonna go back in. So we've got two 8mm here, or Phillips heads. So we're gonna take these off. Actually, they are smaller than 8. So let's grab the Phillips head, take the mass air filter off, and then we're going to put it into here and then basically get this thing going back in. All right, so first we're going to take off the mass air filter sensor again. So this one, I think we're going to try to get it off. I think this is just a zip tie, so we're going to break this zip tie off. Get the mass air filter unplugged. Out of the way. And then we are going to be getting down and dirty. So we got to get way down there, and you guys can see way back in the back, there's one little pain in the butt screw. So we're going to have to get a stubby screwdriver back there and try to figure that one out. All right, so we have one pain in the butt bolt. So it is an 8mm. And it's down around the corner, take a left at the 3rd Street in the block, make a U-turn at the roundabout. So you're gonna need something like this. So what I've done is I've got an 8mm socket at the end of a swivel with some extensions. And she's having a hard time getting in there, but it's way back. There's a little plug under here. And if you can see right where about that is, it's about a right turn right at the bottom. And that's where the 8mm that holds the thing. It doesn't need to come loose that much, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to get in there. So once we get it in there and on the bolt, then we can crack it loose. And literally it's not on there barely at all. And that's it. So here's your key. I tried a flathead, I couldn't get in there. So there's your key, and there is one last little deal. So we've got our little vacuum hose here. So we're gonna pop this off. Wrench. And there we go. And now we're out here. And then again, remember, we're using the mass filter or the mass sensor here. So let's go over to the table, get everything switched out, and then start putting this side back in, this side, top of the filters, all ready to roll. All right, guys, so we've got everything out and we're working on the passenger side first. So if you guys come in here, you'll see the mass air sensor I've got unscrewed, and you'll notice the direction. There is a direction of the mass air sensor. So when you take it out, it's going to come out and right in here, exactly the same direction. So your flow is coming in here into your engine, into the air filters. You're going to be flowing this way, okay? And now I've reused the bolts. I kind of like these bolt heads. So we're going to click that in and we'll get these nice and tight by finger. And then we'll just throw a little screwdriver on here and get them nice and snug. Okay, now we're done with the air box. This is all done. This can go back down here. We'll snap this together. Oh, here's a good example of the bottom portion, how it kind of sits in. So it doesn't really want to go in right up. It's the wrong side. You see that kind of clicks in the bottom there. See how that sits in? And then it'll snap up top, and then we'll snap that on, and we're gonna make sure we keep these for future, just in case. So let's go ahead and now move to the driver's side. Again, air filter intake this way. So we're gonna take our mass air filter out, arrow facing towards the engine, and in. And then get these started with the fingers. You can see I've already put the band on this one. I've still got to get it on that one because I'm not sure exactly the position of this with the air intake. So I kind of left that one out. So. All right, so we found out one thing that we have to reuse. So you'll notice that we've got the little vacuum nipple on the passenger side only, okay? So it's saying that we need to retain and reuse this. So we're gonna pull that clamp off. We're gonna pull this nipple out of here, okay? Nipple goes back in here. I know we still gotta get this on, so we can actually pull that off. So we're going to get the nipple in there, and then we're going to use that clamp to get it clamped in there. So, all right, so we've got this here in, okay, and we're going to actually retain the original clip. So we're going to get the clip on there. Clink. So now we've got our spot for our vacuum hose to go on.
Here for me.
And then we're going to slide in here so you can see our clip. And I think we're going straight up, so it should be pretty good here. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have the nut here accessible on this side. So that way when I put it in, I'm actually not going to tighten this one, until after I get this one installed in, which is this one. Okay, because I'm not sure exactly how this is going to orientate. And once we've got it set in and orientated, then I will go ahead and clamp this top one in. So let's go over to the engine, get this thing clamped in, and then get everything tightened up. All right, so we've got our 8mm on our long extension, which we're going to be working on our passenger side. I've got both of the hose clamps loose, but ready to go in. So we're going to get this tucked in. Don't forget our little bleeder nipple here, and then our mass air sensor. So let's head over to the passenger side and get this thing fitted in. All right, so what we're gonna first do is just get this thing fitted in. We've got our nipple down here, which we're gonna be able to obviously spin and adjust. We've got to kind of get this all in there and adjust it, and then we can start tightening everything down. So right in here, here's our bleeder hose. So the bleeder hose might need to go on soon. It looks like it's going up there. So bleeder hose has to go on first. So the bleeder hose kind of goes up in between this little area right here. So once this goes in, it's real tight. It's kind of hard to see, but let's get the light down here. So if you guys can see down there, it's a real tight squeeze down there, but we've just basically just have to finagle those hose clamps so they're up enough that I can get this down on there. So it's nothing really easy to film because obviously I'm buried down in there, but once we get everything tight, we'll show you how it kind of ends up. But what's nice also, it's got these little nipples that go into these little prongs down here, these pieces right here. So you know when it's seated really well because the nipple actually goes right into that fender well. So let me get this thing buttoned up and we'll be right back. All right, so a little pain in the butt on the passenger side. One of the things that I realized that I did was if you look at the rubber boot and the cuff, so I tightened this hose clamp, but when I tightened this one, what it was doing was when I would put it in the peg, it was actually concaving the boot. So what I ended up having to do was take it all out, loosen this one, which created this to lip up enough to keep the boot straight, which is what's important. And then we tighten this one down. So let me see, let me grab this real quick. Let me see if I can explain it to you guys down here. So you can see down there, you can see how the boot is just riding up on the lip right there of the plastic piece here. So it's just, so what I ended up having to do was I ended up screwing this piece down last, and then we're here. So we're at the mass air filter here. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the mass air filter and we'll get it plugged in here. And then we're gonna head over to this side and get this intake part installed. So we'll go ahead and move camera, get the light over here. And this one's fairly easy. So this one we're gonna have, we've already got this tight. We've got this one down here. And I really, again, really like these nipples because you'll watch here, as I slide this thing onto the thing, you'll see that this lines up and fits right in that boot. So right in the little nipple there. And then this is pretty much accessible, so we can go straight down into that. This one's already tight, and then the mass air filter's there. So we can pretty much go straight down to that screw. Voila, the easier side. So now we're in there, mass air filter. We will clip this in. Let's see where are we clipping at. I think we're going in that side. There we go. And now we're ready for our boxes. All right, guys, so the intake tubes are all nice and mounted. We're ready for our air filters and our filter housings. Now, a couple things. The bushings that come off of the stock airbox need to be reused. So you're gonna pop out the old bushings and pop them in the new ones. And what you're gonna notice is that there's this little ring right here, and the intake is gonna actually be seated underneath that ring. So you're gonna kind of sit it in there so it's nice and sealed. But of course, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to mount the air first, the air filter first. Of course, it won't come out now, but mount the air filter first, and then you're gonna be able to pop that right on top. So let's get the air filter mounted, and of course, make sure that that silver's towards the back because you're going to be able to see this front of the filter. And let's get these mounted and see how it looks. All right, guys, so the top is going to go on, and then we're going to get past this first little seal and then get it to sit on. So you're going to see here, we're going to get this right over here. And you'll notice, let's get the light on there, that we're just going to pull the filter through that first little phase. It's going to kind of sit up too far. Okay, come back up, and you're going to want to get it to sit right on that first little lip. All right, so once it's fitted, you're going to get this thing lined up, and we'll start this screw. And we're going to start this screw back here. It's a little tighter one there. And you'll notice that there's like the hood latch is kind of in the way, so you got to get below that. All right, there you go. So I was able to pull this actually off its little tab. There's a couple little locking tabs. So we can push that back in, screwed on, nice and tight, nice and tight. And there's your driver's side. And so passenger side should be fairly easy. Remember, we're reusing these rubber grommets. So we're gonna pull the metal tab out, squeeze the grommets through, and then make sure you take the tabs out and then the tabs back in. Repeat for phase 2 here. There. And then back through. And let's grab our air filter. Head over with our air filter. All right, so this is going to be a little tricky because we've got a couple things out in the back here that we've got to work around. And let's get this. So if we pull it straight up, should come pop out, and then this one will pop out. There we go. It gives us enough room to kind of work this down. So we're just going to get past the first little seal. And there we are. And we're seated, and we're seated. Make sure this wire is, let's see. We don't want to crimp it, so we're going to leave it up on top. Like that. And we're in there. So we'll grab our little bolt here. All right. Now, AFE's also included some rubber seals. These are intended to go up on the top, I believe. So I believe they go here to create a little bit of seal when the hood comes down. I'm not sure exactly how these, there's a little lip there. So I think they slide on a special way. So we will return with the correct way to put these on. All right, guys, so that's it. Everything is installed. I will say, I did look at the directions. Pretty self-explanatory. The seals probably should have gone on before we put the top shroud on. So make sure you put those seals on first. But outside that, it looks really good. It's all nice and installed, nice and stable. And then we'll obviously, now that that's on, so you'll notice on this shroud, and I really like this on the on Junior. If you guys are old school viewers, I had an Infiniti FX50, and the shroud actually forces the air in there, and it's got a big scoop here. The scoop lines up down here. So now that we've got this on, you guys can see the final product. We're going to mount this last little shroud, goes on here, and once we button it up, the air scoops in, and if you come around this way, babe, it dumps out right at the filter. So it's actually pretty clever engineering by Infiniti, how they've created this shroud to have that scoop to be able to dump their air into it. But let's get in let's get you firing this thing up. Let's see if it sounds any different. All right, guys, so everything's installed. Everything looks great. Let's get this thing fired up and let's hear what it sounds like. See if we can hear any difference. We should be able to. Oh, baby. Oh, Jesus, mama. Look, I got nothing else. I got nothing else to say. We gotta go for a drive right now. Immediately, we have to back out and go on a drive because this thing is. Let's hear it. Absolutely love it. Exhaust is going on this week, so stay tuned. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. And I'll take it all day long. So exhaust video will be out later this week, so stay tuned. But thanks for sticking around for this install. Not a hard install. Probably half hour, 45 minutes. Your biggest challenge is going to be your passenger side. So that's about it. All right, guys, out on a little drive, and definitely has a little verb. You get a little out of it. Of course, there's no exhaust sound right now, but man, this car has just got, it's just got the juice. It's just got it. Love it. So definitely think you guys will be very happy with this AFE exhaust intake. Now, I will tell you guys, AFE, with the shutdown and everything, I'll give them a teeny bit of credit, but not too much credit because we had to wait for almost a month after paying for this. Over a month. So,
and various phone calls.
Yeah, so it took a little bit to get the system, but once we got it, I think you guys are going to be really, really happy with it. I think it looks the best out of all of the systems. You know, when you pop the hood, it's right there. It's kind of open. It's nice. But when you get those verbs, let's get it into neutral and hear what this thing. Definitely hearing more from the front end of the car. And I'll say it's definitely feels like it's definitely got a little bit more dig to it. So you guys will like it. So thanks for sticking around again. Like, more important than you guys know, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you next video. Bye, guys.